What if gravity reversed for an hour every day? I mean, just picture it. Every single day, at a random time, gravity would decide to flip itself on its head, sending everything not nailed down floating into the sky like an impromptu zero-gravity party. People would float out of their houses, cars would go soaring down the street, and the everyday stuff we take for granted, like walking down the sidewalk, would become an unpredictable adventure. The thought of it is both exciting and terrifying, right? The entire rhythm of life would change in ways we can only begin to imagine. So, how would life on Earth change if gravity reversed every day just for 1 hour? Let's dive in and explore the chaos, the weirdness, and the strange beauty of it. First, let's talk about the immediate consequences. You wake up, the clock strikes whatever hour it is, and suddenly whoosh, gravity reverses. Everything that's not anchored or weighted down is now a projectile. That comfy chair you were just sitting in? It's up there now, floating in your living room ceiling. Your morning cup of coffee? The liquid is now slowly floating out of the mug in perfect little bubbles, and you're left scrambling to drink it before it floats away into the ether. And those annoying socks you've been trying to find? Oh, they're up there on the ceiling too, just beyond your reach, mocking you. For that 1 hour, everyday life would essentially be a game of dodgeball, everything flying at you, and the environment constantly shifting around you. It would be a strange mix of curiosity and panic, especially for the first few weeks while people adjusted to this new reality. And the fun doesn't stop there. You're trying to walk to work when gravity flips. Now, instead of walking on solid ground, you're trying to grip onto anything you can to avoid floating off into the sky. Hold on to your hats because that gust of wind you usually ignore? It's now a full-on gale that could send you tumbling into the clouds like a kite. How would we even commute to work? You can't just hop in your car because, in theory, the car's going to float off too. Do we invent some kind of gravity-shielding vehicle that keeps us grounded? Or do we just have to wait for the clock to tick over before making our way to the office? It's not like we can just go on autopilot and trust gravity will be there when we need it, because that hour every day would be completely unpredictable. Some days, gravity could reverse in the middle of your commute, and suddenly everyone is floating on a traffic jam, just drifting slowly through the sky, hoping to grab onto a tree or a lamppost to keep from floating away. Now let's get into the big picture. How would we adapt to a world where this happened daily? The first thing that would change would probably be how we build our cities. Buildings would have to be extra secure. You know those construction cranes that look like they're barely holding onto the edge of buildings? They would need to be reinforced with something akin to rocket launchers to make sure nothing floats away. Houses might be designed with heavy anchoring systems, giant magnetized floors, or gravity-resistant materials that could hold things in place during those chaotic hours. People would need to keep their homes stocked with all kinds of gravity-friendly gadgets, like shoes with magnetic soles, or special wristbands that keep you tethered to the floor, or even floating furniture that rises with you but doesn't float away. Public spaces would also change dramatically. Parks, for instance, would need to be equipped with safe landing zones, or even gravity control zones to help people stay grounded when the skyward madness begins. And don't even get me started on the chaos in grocery stores. Imagine that aisle full of cereal boxes, floating around like confetti at a New Year's party. Your shopping cart would probably end up zooming away with your milk and bread, leaving you holding a floating bag of chips. On a more serious note, the impacts on infrastructure would be massive. Imagine trying to fly an airplane when gravity flips. It could send an airplane into an uncontrollable dive, or worse, toss it into the air like a paper airplane. Airports would become the world's most dangerous places to be for that 1 hour every day, with flights being delayed or canceled until the gravity shift ends. Air traffic control would be in constant crisis mode, working to ensure no flights take off during the gravity reversal time. Meanwhile, space agencies would probably have a field day studying this bizarre phenomenon, possibly launching satellites into the sky to understand just how high the effects of gravity reversal could reach. What happens when gravity flips in the upper atmosphere? How much of Earth's gravity actually reverses before it fades out? It would be a once-in-a-lifetime chance to study how gravity behaves on a global scale. But let's dig deeper into the psychological impact. Living in a world where gravity flips for an hour every day could have major effects on how we see ourselves and our surroundings. People would likely become obsessed with predicting when the reversal would happen, constantly watching clocks and setting alarms. There would be an entire culture of gravity surfers, people who take full advantage of that hour of weightlessness, floating through the air like it's a playground. You might even see people creating new sports, competitive floating maybe, a kind of skydiving without the plane where people race through the air trying to reach specific points of interest before gravity kicks back in. But on the flip side, it could also create a kind of constant anxiety. You wouldn't want to be caught outside in the middle of the reversal because you might end up stuck in a tree or, worse, drifting off into space. Some people might even start building underground bunkers, places where they can go to hibernate during that hour. We might even see entire businesses arise to provide gravity-proof safes, places to ensure you and your valuables don't float away. And let's not forget about the environmental effects. For 1 hour every day, the natural world would go bonkers. Trees, mountains, lakes, animals. Everything would be subject to gravity's whims. Forests would have a bizarre floating moment, with leaves and animals all spiraling up into the air before crashing back down. Birds might finally get the upper hand, reveling in the wild freedom to soar unchallenged, while land animals might freak out, trying to grip onto anything solid before being swept away. The ocean would be in chaos too. Waves, tides, and currents would become unpredictable, and it might even create temporary floating islands of sea debris or sea creatures. Imagine a shark floating by your window during that 1 hour every day. It'd be a wild ride, to say the least. In the end, if gravity reversed every day for an hour, we'd adapt to it in ways we can't even imagine yet, creating new technology, new sports, new ways of building and living that would help us survive, and even thrive in a world where the rules of physics could change every single day. But the bigger question is, how would you cope with it? Would you embrace the chaos and enjoy the freedom of floating for that hour? Or would you prefer to lock yourself in your gravity-proof bunker, waiting for the world to get back to normal? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's keep dreaming up what would happen in a world where gravity just can't make up its mind.